Hello and welcome. You're watching NewsX with me, Devika Devan. It is a proud moment for India as we bring you live coverage of Dr. Anil Menon's historic first journey to space. The Kerala origin NASA astronaut is lifting off aboard the Soyuz MS-29 from the Baikonur in Kazakhstan, beginning an approximately 240-day mission to the International Space Station. Traveling alongside Roscosmos cosmonauts Pyotr Dubrov and Anna Kikina, Menon is expected to dock with the ISS in just over 3 hours, where he will serve as a flight engineer on expeditions 74 and 75. During his 8-month stay in orbit, Dr. Menon will conduct a series of cutting-edge scientific experiments focused on human health in space, emergency medicine, artificial intelligence, biotechnology, semiconductor manufacturing, fluid physics and combustion science. The research is expected to help improve life on Earth while also preparing astronauts for future long-duration missions to the Moon and Mars. Born to a family with roots in Kerala, Dr. Menon now joins an elite group of astronauts of Indian origin that includes Rakesh Sharma, Kalpana Chawla, Sunita Williams, Rajachari and Group Captain Subhanshu Shukla. Joining me on the broadcast for this live coverage, and we'll keep those visuals on our screens all throughout. We have Mr. Ravi Kumar Gupta, former director of DRDO, Dr. Raju Garudachar, former ISRO scientist, and Group Captain V.N. Jha, former joint director of DRDO, with us. Let me begin this conversation with Mr. Ravi Kumar Gupta. Mr. Gupta, I have to, firstly, of course, understand from you, if you can shed some light on the importance of these missions for our viewers.
I'm not getting your voice.
Mr. Gupta, can you hear me now? All right, we'll try to fix that. We'll try to fix that audio. I'm going to request Mr. Gupta to perhaps remove the earphones. That might be helpful in this situation. But let me bring in Group Captain V.N. Jha then. Group Captain Jha, important day once again for the international space community and for the world, because when these missions do take place on the ISS, it is all about what the astronauts and their research brings back for life on Earth. Of course, there is a lot of research and talk now about life on Mars, on Moon, but a lot of times, Group Captain V.N. Jha, people here don't understand the relevance and the importance of these space missions. So I'd like to begin, and I'd like to take this moment to perhaps just have this discussion with our guests. If you can shed some light on why is it critical for us to send our scientists to space to conduct some of those experiments? What does it truly bring back for life on Earth?
Well, Devika, very good evening to you and to all my panelists. Look, space science is something which is not very well known or appreciated or understood by many in the world. And that is the place where whenever we venture into the space, the wilderness of space, where the environment, atmosphere is not there, environment is absolutely hostile to you. You can't survive outside your micro capsule that you go into it. So there are a lot of things that we gather information. And second is that space is one place where you see the Mother Earth from a distance in an envelope which is surrounded all over by the atmosphere. So it becomes much easier to appreciate what all must be going on here on the Earth's surface. And today, there are many instruments which tell you the stories that is going on either in the environment, in the atmospheric layer, or even in the exosphere. From the space, you can look at the deep of the space without any atmosphere. So unhindered visibility, whether on the sun side or on the dark side, there is no light which can interfere with you. So all this science research is one thing which becomes very, very possible. Secondly, when we talk of astronaut, I'm sure very few people in the among the even your people who are watching us here right now will be aware what is an astronaut. Anyone going to the space may be called an astronaut. But among astronauts, the pilot is the one which guides the vehicle to the designated space, designated orbit, or for the docking purposes with the International Space Station. That is the pilot or the commander, or pilot and commander, or one pilot and one technical expert. So they are the one which carry the vehicle to the desired spot or desired orbit. Next is the mission space list. That is one where our person, Anil Menon, he is going. He will be conducting many of the research for which a lot of on-hand experience would have been given to him on ground itself. So he is not guiding, he is not piloting the vehicle from Baikonur. He is just going as an observer right now. But once out of this module into the International Space Station, then he must be having a task lined for him, various research, as you have mentioned. Many of the research has to be carried out by him over the next 8.5 months or so. So in that duration, these three people who are going from here today will remain in the International Space Station, and the previous one, the Soyuz 28 mission, what would have carried the other three cosmonauts or astronauts, Chris Williams, Sergei Shverov, and McCabe. They will be coming back in another few days in their own vehicle. That is the MS-28 mission. The Soyuz was there, Soyuz 28 mission. That they will be coming back in that mission. And these three people will remain aboard International Space Station. And as and when, on 1st of April next year, the time for these people are over, they have completed their mission, they will come back. They will come.
Right, absolutely. Let me bring in on that note Dr. Raju into the conversation as well. Dr. Raju, in your perspective, sir, what are some of the most critical aspects of this particular space mission?
Good evening. Are you able to hear me?
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
Yeah. See, one of the important applications why we go to space is for manufacturing. Even India conducted what is known as satellite recovery experiment to ensure that we can send a craft, bring it back safely. So the craft did not have any human beings. However, it gave a very valuable input for future, larger missions, such as if you can take one of the most important things is that you can manufacture very important medical devices, medicines. You can conduct a very perfect sphere because there is no gravity on the manufacture of a spherical ball. Some application may need totally 100% powerful, 100% spherical, because what is the sphere? Normally it will have an alloy having minerals or different specific gravities. But if you go and manufacture in space, there is no preferred, because of the weightlessness, there will be a perfect homogeneous sphere that can be used for many applications. Second thing is, there is no contamination. And you can produce high quality semiconductor devices for future high efficiency. On ground we can manufacture based on the knowledge you get. In future they are also thinking of putting a furnace which can be used for larger scale manufacture of semiconductor devices. They'll be very, very useful for ground applications. Third thing is medical related. We have to look at one of the experiments already conducted once by Sudhanshu Shukla in the Axiom mission. Now there will be continued. Lot of important results have come, and I believe they have been used, and it is a furtherance of that particular series of experiments where how the muscles, the tissues get affected due to weightlessness. The bones get affected. You may recall when one of the our Indian origin Sunita Williams was there for 400 plus days, where too much of anxiety, whether the bone will be affected, it will become brittle. So there are many medical related applications, medical related experiments, apart from growing medical medicine itself, manufacturing of semiconductor devices, manufacturing of many other devices, as I said about the sphere, perfect sphere in high purity, no gravity, weightlessness. These are all some of the salient features of conducting experiments in a space module or a space lab. We have already got experience for the past 25 years. This is not new, but this ever increasing uh, curiosity about knowing about the space itself. For example, as one of the panelists said, Captain Jha told that there is no atmosphere. So you can see better if you are looking for astronomical observations. You can look at the telescope. Any kind of a far distance galactic observations can be done easily, comfortably with space telescopes from the low Earth orbit satellite orbiting above the atmosphere. These are all some of the very curious experiments useful for not only scientific but for working by working in space. You can derive a lot of benefits for manufacturing, medical applications, and so on on Earth. Thank you.
Right, absolutely. Is Mr. Ravi Kumar Gupta being able to hear us now? Ravi ji, is my voice reaching you?
Yeah, I'm able to hear you. Yes, you go ahead, please.
Absolutely,
Can
sir.
you hear me?
Yes, I want to understand from you, the fact that Anil Menon will be leading this mission. What does this truly mean now for the space aspirations of many young Indians?
Yes, definitely. See, India has also made very significant progress in the sector, in the space sector, and the further progress depends upon our interest of the youth, how they grow themselves into to become future scientists, future astronauts, and grow up. So this is that they need to be motivated, and such kind of things are watched all over the world. NASA's, you can say, their website and their launches, they are watched with great interest among the youth globally. So so is the case with our Indian youth also. I'm finding I have my own personal experience with the young people in the universities, in the IITs, in the schools, when they show great interest. And since Anil is from among us, he is by birth an American, but he is from Indian origin. So that also adds to the kind of the level of motivation that this his journey will provide. Besides, I think as far as the technical part is concerned, already my two panelists have spoken quite a lot. There is another important aspect that he is a doctor, he is a medical doctor. And he has had a lot of experience in the emergency medicines, in the high altitude rescue experiment missions conducted at various high altitude regions, including Alps and Everest also. So though he has a very wide range of experience, and the kind of training which is provided to an astronaut, it gives him a complete overall picture of what he will be required to do, not just in his own area of specialization, but also in general as far as the space, the managing the space station is concerned, the conducting one's own course, daily course in the space station, and conducting the required experiments. All these things are tried, and they get their first-hand experience on these experiments on the ground itself, so that when they go there, this kind of, there is no glitch. So all these various experiments which they are conducting, I think these will be a stepping stone for very, very long-term missions to distant planets, which are being explored by the Russians and Americans and possibly
There. And the second umbilical tower will separate momentarily, which will initiate engine sequence start. We are under 20 seconds away from today's launch.
Tower off and liftoff. Liftoff. Launch command issued for ignition.
The launch command has been issued.
Second umbilical tower separates. Engine 10 pumps at flight speed.
Booster ignition now at full throttle and liftoff. Menon, Dubrov, and Kikina now on their way to the International Space Station as part of a 2-orbit journey.
All the system parameters are nominal.
We have a good roll, pitch, and yaw as we head downrange.
Engines of the first and second stage are functioning nominally.
We have confirmation that the first and second stage engines have good performance. We have good structural parameter performance, and the Soyuz is delivering 930,000 pounds of thrust from its 4 boosters and single engine. The first stage of the Soyuz measures 68 feet in length and 24 feet in diameter, burning liquid fuel for the first 2 minutes and 6 seconds of flight. We're now a minute into today's flight. Everything continuing to proceed as planned, and the velocity is currently 1,100 miles per hour.
70. The flight is nominal. 70. Flight nominal.
We're now a minute and 20 seconds into today's flight of the Soyuz MS-29 spacecraft on top that Soyuz 2.1A booster. We still have good first stage performance.
90. First and second stage engines stable.
17 hours, 47 minutes, 43
The pressure is 1511, 1429. Copy.
We're now 1 minute and 54 seconds into today's flight, so the escape tower has been jettisoned. And momentarily, the 4 strap-on boosters have been jettisoned, and these have completed their job and have dropped away at an altitude of 28 statute miles. The Soyuz is now traveling at about 3,350 miles an hour, and there you can see on your screen as those 4 strap-on boosters were jettisoned.
The pressure is nominal.
Again, everything continuing to proceed as planned. We are receiving good reports of the structural performance of the Soyuz as it continues its ride uphill. We are now just over 2.5 minutes into today's launch of the Soyuz MS-29 spacecraft, and that launch shroud has now been jettisoned, and the rocket's altitude is now about 48 miles high. And we're now seeing an external rocket camera view that the crew will switch in to replace the in-cabin view at that time of fairing separation. We're now 3 minutes into today's launch of the Soyuz spacecraft. Everything continuing to proceed as planned and receiving good reports from the blockhouse in Baikonur. The Soyuz is now traveling at a speed of about 4,700 miles per hour. The Soyuz core stage is performing as expected, and the core stage of the Soyuz is 56 feet in length, 13.5 feet in diameter, with a single engine with 4 fuel chambers providing between 178,000 and 220,000 pounds of thrust for its 3 minute and 28 seconds of operation.
210 seconds. Control system parameters nominal. Copy. On board.
We're about 3 minutes and 45 seconds into today's flight of the Soyuz as it continues its flight uphill. It is about an 8 minute and 50 second total ride to orbit before we have that 3rd stage separation, and the Soyuz spacecraft will be on its way to chase the International Space Station.
Copy. The crew are feeling fine.
240.
The core stage, once it was ignited, but continues to burn until the 4 minute 43 second mark, which is coming up in about 30 seconds from now. And the Soyuz uses what's called a hot stage technique, and the 3rd stage will then ignite while the 2nd is still burning. And this is why the Soyuz has an open area in between the 2nd and 3rd stages. We are continuing to receive good reports of the Soyuz performance as it continues its journey uphill. We're now about 4 minutes and 50 seconds into today's flight. So the third stage did begin igniting at that 4-minute 45-second mark, which means the second stage is now shutting down. And we do have confirmation of second stage separation.
Copy separation of second stage. The growth
And that separation taking place at an altitude of 105 miles. So the Soyuz is now being propelled by the single engine of the Soyuz third stage, and this engine is providing 67,000 pounds of thrust and will burn for a total of 4 minutes and 2 seconds. We're now about 5.5 minutes into today's launch of the Soyuz spacecraft. We're about 3 minutes away from that third stage separation, at which point the Soyuz spacecraft and its crew will officially be on their way to the International Space Station. Again, that third stage shutdown taking place about 8 minutes and 46 seconds into today's launch, about 3 minutes from now, shortly followed by that third stage separation.
360 seconds. Pitch your roll nominal. Copy. On board, everything is fine.
We're now just over 6 minutes and 20 seconds into today's launch of the Soyuz 2.1A booster, which was carrying the Soyuz MS-29 spacecraft to orbit as it begins its journey to the International Space Station. We are continuing to receive good reports of good pitch and yaw of the spacecraft as it continues its journey uphill. In about a minute from now,
400.
the velocity of the spacecraft will reach about 13,500 miles an hour. Again, all of those performance callouts that you're hearing, those are being reported by the engineers at the blockhouse in Baikonur. After orbital insertion, the command will officially be transitioned to the Russian Mission Control Center in Koryov, right outside of Moscow.
Copy. Com has gotten worse. I don't hear you well enough. I copy.
We are now 7.5 minutes in following the liftoff of the Soyuz 2.1A booster. Again, that liftoff taking place at 9:47 a.m. Central Time, 10:47 a.m. Eastern Time. The performance of the vehicle continuing to proceed as expected, and we are now under a minute away from that third stage shutdown, quickly followed by third stage separation.
Copy, everything is fine on board. We're feeling great. Still, com is not ideal. I don't hear you well enough.
Once the third stage delivers the Soyuz to orbit and the module is separated, a series of pre-programmed commands will be executed to prepare the Soyuz for orbital operations.
Everything is fine.
These stored commands, called time-tagged commands, allow many of the Soyuz's systems to be automatically activated by onboard computers at precise times stored in those computers.
500. The flight is going well. Copy. On board,
We are
fine.
about 15 seconds away from that third stage cutoff and separation. Right now, about 8 minutes and 40 seconds into today's flight.
Get ready for separation.
And we have confirmation of preliminary separation of that third stage.
5:30.
And there you could see it falling away on the upper portion of your screen. So again, that third stage cutoff and separation taking place about 8 minutes and 50 seconds into today's flight. And we have confirmation that the Soyuz MS-29 spacecraft has been officially inserted into orbit. So the Soyuz capsule and its crew are now safely in orbit, and the spacecraft is automatically executing its pre-programmed commands, which then deployed those solar arrays, which you can see there on your screen. Those pre-programmed controls also, of course, deploy the antennas. So now that the Soyuz spacecraft and its crew are safely in orbit, control of the spacecraft from here on out will be overseen from the Russian Mission Control Center outside of Moscow in Koryov.
И можно выбрать формат.